Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Trauma Team. Last time, we continued our investigation as Naomi Kimishima, and what we have learned is that Veronica Cage, our victim, who is already a skeleton after a month, was run over by some random truck driver, and then the dude freaked out, threw her over the bridge, and shattered her skull. What we did learn, though, is she went to the hospital for some kind of disease, and that she was dead before the truck ran her over. With this knowledge, and the fact that her parents have been beaten up, I believe we can put some stuff together here. Aggression. Let's match aggression with hospital records. Apparently that's not cool. Let's see. Let's match the hospital record with one of these two. Let's match up the hospital record for both of them because they're the same.
True. These two do share a common link. The victim's hospital records say she'd been at the hospital since...
How many months ago did Veronica begin in the hospital? That was 2 months ago.
Yes, 2 months ago. For the month before her death, she'd been treated at the hospital. Now, the parents' hospital records say they'd been visiting the hospital since...
They began 2 months ago.
They also started visiting the hospital, too. Veronica was going for migraines, hallucinations, mood swings, and vomiting blood. And her parents were going after suffering frequent injuries. A month before the victim was found dead, the parents suddenly stopped having these injuries. An unpleasant coincidence, to be sure. I hope that...
So, we now know, also sorry for skipping text, my finger twitches sometimes. But we do have a link there. Veronica and her parents' hospital coincide with each other. Could they be related? And he doesn't want to go ahead with any of that. Can we link these two because they're both about done? No, they do not want to link together. The fracture pattern proves it. Can we move these here?
The victim's femurs were fractured in the accident with the truck. Her skull was shattered when her body was dropped from the bridge. We've confirmed that both those injuries occurred after death. From those facts, it's clear that when the victim was on the bridge...
The skull and leg fractures both took place after death, but when the accident occurred, Veronica was already dead. Yes! Solid evidence. Which means this guy, at most, may receive some type of petty charge, but at most, he's not going to get anything. He's not going to be rotting in jail, that's for sure.
Even if she hadn't been run over by the truck, she was already dead. That means that the driver was telling the truth in his interrogation.
Then does that mean that she was kidnapped from her room, murdered, and then had her corpse dumped on that bridge?
And then her corpse got run over, and then her corpse got thrown... I feel bad.
I don't know that just yet. We'll need to investigate a little more.
Yeah. That's the thing with detectives, or doctors in this case. You have to... You can't jump to conclusions until everything is completely conclusive. We still don't know about the pathological change.
Yes, we can put these two facts together. According to the chart from the hospital, the victim's condition caused her to vomit blood. If she had continued to vomit blood after her hospital visit, that would explain the bloodstains on her clothing.
There we go. Put some stuff together,
yes.
Guys.
Thus, these bloodstains were caused by the blood that she had vomited.
Okay. I accidentally clicked him. The bloodstains on the chest are likely from the victim vomiting blood.
We can deduce the victim's physical state from this information. First, the pathological changes. There's no knowing what disease she had. However, if this discoloration of the bones shows the existence of a focus, it's safe to assume that whatever disease she was suffering from was in an advanced state. The massive bloodstains on her clothes came from her vomiting blood. There aren't many conditions that cause that much hemorrhaging. From these 2 points alone, I conclude that she was already in terminal condition. Even if she hadn't been killed, she was already on the brink of death.
I see. I feel sorry for her. But if that's the case, then why?
Why was she kidnapped? I still have my doubts about that, actually. Did the murderer kidnap her? Or did that even happen?
What do you mean?
Whatever the case, she was definitely taken from her home before she died. The question now is what happened between the time she was taken until the car accident.
Right, I follow you.
Once we know that, we should finally be able to see the real truth behind this case. Little guy, I'm going to check the victim's room one more time.
I thought you might want to, so I have a new tool ready for you.
Someone's prepared. And what kind of present do you have for me?
It's not the most appropriate gift for a lady, but it's aluminum powder for finding fingerprints. There are some useful additions to the mixture.
Ah, great. I'm impressed.
I'm glad you like it. Spread the powder anywhere that looks suspicious and shine your investigation light on it.
And that'll make any fingerprints stand out? All right, I'll give it a try.
Good luck. Well then.
Alright, we finally got some info about those weird discolored bones. But we are slowly finishing off this evidence, but we need a little bit more to build off of, so let's head back to Veronica's room and see if we can find some fingerprints. Okay. I want to put some powder here. No dice. Okay. How about here? Nothing. Nothing. Maybe on the door? I'm real bad at this. Maybe some on the bed? Ha! I cannot believe I hit none of these. Maybe the chair? All of the floor, all of the floor. Ah! I found it! I found it! Whoa! This is some fucked up shit.
So many. These are all the same fingerprints. It's likely they belong to the victim. Now, why would she leave so many fingerprints on the floor?
She was being dragged out. The glass broke, her earring dropped. So the fingerprints on the floor all belong to the victim. I believe the victim was wearing hand-shaped shoes, pushing off the walls in 0G, doing handstands. Man, when the game it wants to just throw the answer at you, they just don't care about the multiple choices.
Yes, she was probably crawling on the floor to move around. The prints indicate she was heading towards... The prints on the floor lead to the room's entrance. They're even under the mat. What's underneath the mat? Nothing. What could this mean?
There we go.
Just as I thought. These are bloodstains. They must be Veronica's. Considering the facts so far, these bloodstains must have been caused by...
Huh. It's believed that the blood stain left in the victim's room was caused by... not the parents' injuries, not attempted suicide. I don't even think it'd be blood that she vomited. I think it's cutting herself on the glass... Nah, there'd be more blood on the glass shards. It's gotta be blood she vomited. Here we go!
Veronica's clothing was covered in blood that she had vomited. The amount of blood here is more than would be a fatal loss in most people. But there's something odd about these bloodstains. Blood is a liquid. It should be evenly spread across the floor. If there was one reason for the bloodstains to be shaped like this, it would
have to be. The reason why the massive bloodstain had an odd shape was because... the door was closed. Which means it cuts off the rest.
This door was closed when Veronica was vomiting blood. That's why the blood spread unevenly.
Well, is that all that I want to, like, explore, though? We put together some good revelations there, at least. But what do we do? Do we scan the floor? Do we scan the door?
This door had been closed when Veronica was vomiting blood. Thus, the room is now in the same condition as it was when that happened.
Oh, this is screwed up. Look at that door.
The lower part of the door has numerous scratches on it. What could these scratches be? Huh? Bloodstains? Inside the scratch marks? From looking at the shape and location of these scratches, they are...
The marks on the inside of the door were caused by scratching. Trying to get out. The door was locked, maybe?
Yes. These are traces that someone had clawed at the door. On top of that, it was done with such desperation that their own nails cracked and bled.
And maybe one of their fingers was fractured. This place is taking quite the dark turn. Let's head back into our office. Nah, no dice. I'll start giving you these and see if you care. Do you care about any of them? Okay, good. Let's move on then. Terminal symptoms. These should be linked, I believe. Let's see. What of the fingerprints?
We can deduce the victim's condition within this room by putting these facts together.
I also want to point out, in case people were worried when I silently put things together and they're right, it's not that I'm just putting them at randomly. The only time I do that is when I say, okay guys, let's just brute force this. Those times I'm actually in my head, I'm like, fingerprints. That thing is clearly a fingerprint moment. Just so people know, I am putting logic into this.
Veronica was crawling on the floor. It's likely that this is because of the mysterious disease she was suffering from. It sapped her strength to the point that she was unable to even stand. She had an attack of her disease inside this room.
And there is some solid evidence.
These bloodstains are at the entrance to the room. The door was closed when Veronica vomited blood. That, along with the scratches on the inside of the door, there's just one sad conclusion we can reach from all this.
She was locked in.
yes. Veronica was prevented from leaving here. Writhing in pain and unable to open the door, she lost a lethal amount of blood and died right here. She wasn't kidnapped and killed.
Well, we can't really link
Something
any
for
of
me, little
these.
guy? I need this bone analyzed in detail.
Oh yeah, he didn't want to analyze it earlier on in the case. Now he can.
Sure. What do you mean by in detail, though?
I just need to know if this fracture occurred before or after death.
This must have happened while she was still alive. Take a look at this area here. You can see where it started healing.
Great. I thought as much. All right, thank you. There's no... But I do know now that this fracture occurred while she was still alive.
Combine them.
Yes, these seem
Yes!
to be related.
I think we may have this case locked
According
in.
to the charts, the victim's symptoms were migraines, hallucinations, mood swings, vomiting blood, hemoptysis, and perhaps most importantly,
Increased aggression.
yes, sudden aggressive behavior. That is, she was acting out violently. Her conditions must have worsened severely a month before her death. That is, her violent tendencies would have increased in frequency and severity. In addition to that is the fracture in Veronica's finger. This is the only injury she had while alive. That's a common injury when people hit things with their fists. On the other hand, the parents' injuries seemed like signs of abuse. If I were to consider all these points, those wounds were...
Veronica was beating her parents.
Right. The hospital records of both the victim and her parents, they show that Veronica had been physically abusing her parents.
And her parents didn't want to be physically abused all the time, so they locked her in and it killed her. Might not have been as malicious as I thought, maybe. I don't know. But with that, we have all solid evidence. I think we're done. Conclusion reached. Here we go.
The dead shall speak. Let's put together the truth of what happened here. A woman's skeleton was found 50 kilometers downriver of the city. The victim's name is Veronica Cage. She was 23 years old. She was suffering from some sort of illness. It caused her severe pain along with mental instability. When she couldn't go on, she snapped and turned violent. This card shows the truth of that emotional state. The patient had frequently physically assaulted her parents. This same disease finally caused her own death as well. This card shows evidence of that final attack. Yes, there were traces of blood at her room's entrance. During the attack, she writhed in agony about the room. The shattered mirror is evidence of that violent behavior. Eventually, her strength gave out and she collapsed. She used the last of her strength to try to leave the room. However, her one final wish was left unanswered. This card speaks to that sad truth. In her fading consciousness, she tore at the door. But she died there, and the culprits carried her body out. The proof of this is on this card. Exactly. The earring caught on something while she was being carried. She was already dead when the earring was torn from her ear. Most likely, her death surprised the ones responsible. They then cleaned the room to hide any signs she was there. But whoever cleaned the room had poor eyesight, and thus did not see the earring among the mirror shards. The body had to be hidden as well. Their plan was to throw the body off a bridge 8 kilometers away. But they were scared off by a pair of oncoming headlights. This culprit, with a bad back, gave up and fled the scene. Those headlights belonged to the blue truck. The driver could not avoid the body and ran over her. The driver believed he had killed her and dumped the body. Ironically, what he did only completed the culprit's plan. This card has proof that she was already dead when run over. Hiding a corpse is a crime, but the driver wasn't the murderer. The ones responsible are those who locked her away to die. She sought help, not knowing that none would ever come. Her last words are the proof of that desperation.
It hurts! Mom! Dad! Help me!
This is the whole truth in how her life was cut short. I don't know what the dead want, but the truth must come out. I'm going to see the ones who cut your life's thread short.
The medical examiner. What brings you here?
Your daughter died in suffering. She struggled, she shouted, and she clawed at her door. She tried to escape so terribly that her own nails tore off. Why didn't you open the door?
There was no choice. We wanted her to be happy. We wanted her to be normal. We never thought this would...
Her death may have been inescapable. But you defiled her death in order to protect yourselves. That can never be forgiven. When death came to you, did you suffer? Soon I will know for myself.
Miss Kimishima, your test results have come back.
I see. Let me ask you up front. How long do I have until my flame goes out?
A year, at best. Maybe 6 months.
I understand. Thank you, Doctor.
Dr. Kimishima, the helicopter's here to take you to the lab.
All right. Thank you. Rosalia. What is this? Someone's name?
Dr. Kimishima, are you alright up there?
Yes, I'm fine. I'll be right down.
And with that, we are done with the second of Naomi's procedures. Next time, we'll be continuing our investigations and procedures and everything through the various other doctors. Again, this has been Trauma Team, and we're going to end off this episode. I'm KZ, and I will see you guys next time.